Okay, good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? Good. Everybody awake? Good. It's about 1:30, and I appreciate your time. I got about an hour with you. And this is sort of my little branch chief visit, or whatever I was calling them last year, director visits. And so I come to your branch, and I talk to about 20 or 30 people at a time or whatever. And so this is sort of taking the place of that because I'm about to go to Afghanistan. Maybe you have heard that. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring y'all in here, was to talk about that plus a few other things. But the main topic of conversation will be about Afghanistan, me going to Afghanistan and why I'm doing it and what that's all about and what are we going to do in GSL and all that sort of stuff. So who has heard that I'm going to Afghanistan before right now? Good. At least you've heard of it. So who has heard that I'm going to Afghanistan because I got this deathly illness and I'm going for some treatment somewhere and I got to get better. I'm going to Swiss Alps or something. I don't know. You heard that one yet? Yeah, that's good. So have you heard the one about, boy, I really screwed up something really bad and they're just getting me? That was Susan on that one. And then I just heard the latest one that Kent Danielson is going to start, that we got this big SAVIAC conference trying to get approved, and I'm just running away from the SAVIAC conference. So all those might be true, but they're not true. No, they're not true. So here's the real story. What happened is that everybody in the Corps, all the SESs at least, and you know we've been involved in Iraq and Afghanistan since really the wars have started, and we were actually so involved in Iraq that we stood up a division, you know, shortly, like a year or so after the war started, like 2000, 2003, 2002. And when we set a division up, we put a general in place and we put an SES in place. So we didn't get an extra SES in the Corps to do that. They tried to find an extra SES, they couldn't do it. So they asked all the SESs in the Corps of Engineers, hey, would you like to go to Baghdad? You know, and they had, I don't know how long the list was, but the request came to all the SESs. Now, I wasn't SES at the time, but I was acting director of GSL. Some of y'all might remember that. And so, you know, so you take that kind of request and you go home and you talk to your wife. You know, my kids were a little bit small at the time, and we chatted about it some, and I kind of wanted to go, you know, and then I talked to my wife a little longer, and then she said, okay. So I said yes. Well, that was 2002, 2003, you know. So they must have had a long list, so I never got a phone call. So 2 years later, I get another request. You want to go to Iraq? And I said, same answer, you know, talk to the wife, send it in. Still hear nothing. 2 years later, I get another request. So they're working through these SESs. They're going about a 6-month year. Sometimes it goes to a year. And then we start sweeping out to Afghanistan. So we pulled GRD out 2 or 3 years ago, and then we stood up. We were doing this thing in Afghanistan. So now it's this new thing where we're sending SES to Afghanistan. So I'm still saying yes whenever I'm asked on about a 2 or 3 year cycle, you know. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm not going. They're not sending me because I'm a lab guy, you know. The Corps of Engineers has about 42 SESs. You know, we got about 8 or 9 in the labs, but they got plenty of folks to send besides somebody from a lab. I mean, what does a guy from a lab know about, you know, what districts and divisions do? And it's kind of more like what a district or division does than what we do. So I figured, you know, I'm never going. That's all right. I'll go visit sometime. But then last fall, I got a call. Dr. Holland said, are you sitting down? I said, you're on the list. You're coming up. Your name's sort of coming up next on the list. They had somebody for January, but they said either July or January of the next year, you're next. And I said, okay. So I go talk to the wife, you know, that's getting real, you know, and that's like, she says, what? I said, remember we talked about this a little while ago. So anyway, so I say, all right, yep, I'm ready, you know. And really, the reason I said yes even 7 or 8 years ago was because you guys said yes. I mean, do you realize how many people in GSL that we have sent to Iraq or Afghanistan in the last 5 years? 50. 50 of you guys have gone. And that's just GSL. I mean, ERDIC has sent, you know, probably 100. We probably send most of the people. And you guys kind of inspired me, you know. I mean, even if you're going for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, or some of you go for months at a time, actually. Some of you have been on multiple deployments, and some of you are still there. Terry Stanton might have gotten back by now, but I know he's been, there's his wife right there. Is he back yet? Yeah, I probably want to talk to him. He's got some recent intel probably I could use. So anyway, that's the real story, okay? And so I'm getting ready, you know, to do this, as Terry knows, and 50 of you guys know, when you deploy like that, you know, there's a whole lot of pre-deployment stuff you do. You got to go to Virginia and do some training. You got health stuff you got to do. You get shots. You get malaria pills. You get hepatitis. You get, man, I'm like bulletproof right now. You know, I've got so many shots in me and pills in me that it's unreal. So I'm still going through this stuff. I still got some training I got to do. I'll go to UDC, which is USACE Deployment Center, in about 2 weeks, and I'll do, at least for SCSs, you only have to do like 1 day of training, so I don't know what that's about, but I'll do that for a day. But then I got to go to the Pentagon, I got to go to USAID, because the job I'm taking it's called the Joint Program Integration Office, JPIO, and that's probably not very important to you, but it's different than an ERDIC director job. Okay, this is the senior Corps of Engineer person in Afghanistan. Okay, and what they do is that person works, they don't even work for the division. They work for the Joint Engineer, which is the engineer on staff of U.S. Forces Afghanistan. That is the engineer, so that's General Watson right now, one-star general. Shortly after I get there in July, it will be General Kula, who is the division commander from the Southwest Division in Dallas, Fort Worth. You know General Kula, yeah. So that'll be my boss. He will be my boss in theater for most of the 6 months that I'm there. And what I'll do is I'll be the USACE guy, and I talked to General Cox, who is the head of TAD right now. He was talking to me about this assignment. He said, you will be the senior USACE guy in theater, and he's not USACE. General Kula was not Corps of Engineers, but he needs the Corps of Engineers to build stuff, right? So that's what we do in the Corps, we build stuff. And so you'll be his person that makes sure that the divisions and districts and anybody that's working with us gets that stuff built, because that's what they're all about over there, of course. I mean, you guys probably know this better than I do. It's about construction, executing the program, and they're doing billions of dollars worth of stuff. I mean, still are. It's sort of on the downslope now because, you know, the president has said that we're going to get the combat troops out by 2014, so we're getting pretty close to that. But he said the other night, if y'all saw his speech, that we'll have some presence in there through 2024, I believe it was, which means we'll be supporting them as they do the combat mission, but we'll still be there probably in advisory role and that sort of thing. So anyway, we got some work to do still for at least a couple of years. That'll be my job, is to make that happen. So, you know, I might get over there and say, oh my gosh, what did I sign up for? I don't know. I mean, it'll be totally different for me than what I've done. In some ways it will be, but you know, in some ways it'll be very similar to what we do here, because a lot of our mission here, of course, in GSL is warfighter mission. A lot of our things, as a matter of fact, I hope I get to see a lot of what we're doing over there, you know, with our force protection work we're doing, our airfields work that we're doing, our IED work that we're doing. You know, that's going to be a neat part to me if I get to get out and see things as much as I think I will, to see the products and results of things that you're doing actually being implemented in theater. And of course, I'll be an advocate, of course, for ERDIC and what we're doing over there. So that's the real story. That's what's happening. And so I apologize that I hadn't gotten out, and I didn't want to put all that in an email, you know, because that's a long story. I wanted to tell y'all personally what's happening. So that's the main story. Now, I had a couple of things I want to show you about Afghanistan. And this, you know, when I come visit, I talk about 5 categories of things, you know, people and money and facilities and communication issues, and then change management, we call it. So on the people thing, my deployment and what it means for you guys, I will be, by the way, if y'all haven't seen this map before, I'm sure a lot of you know this map very, very well, of Afghanistan. But Afghanistan, just in short, is about the size of Texas, just a little bit smaller than Texas in size. It's got a population between like Texas and California, about 30 million people total population, and about 10% or 3 to 3.5 million of those live in the city I'll be in, called Kabul, or I'll figure out which one of those is right when I get over there, I guess. But you see, Kabul is circled right there, sort of the north. I wish this worked, but you see it's got the red circle around it. That's where I'll be. I'll be in a little compound. They say it's a kilometer in perimeter, so it's 250 meters on the side. That's where I'll be. My office is going to be in there, and I'll be with the U.S. Forces of Afghanistan. So I'll be operating out of there, but I think I'll get to travel a good bit, as much as, you know, security and all that allows. But we got forces, you know, all over the place. You know, Kandahar is another major area. Of course, you got that border with Pakistan's kind of hot, you know, on the south side. It's one of the many stands sort of right there in the middle of, you know, Eastern Europe. It's between Iran and China. It actually touches China. I mean, some of y'all probably knew that. So it's an ancient civilization, very old culture. You know what the average age of people in Afghanistan is, by the way? This is according to the CIA World Factbook, which is sort of the authoritarian thing for countries around the world. The average age in Afghanistan is 18.2 years. So, I mean, think about that. Very poor country. You know what the average life expectancy in Afghanistan is? 48 years. I'll be one of the oldest people in Afghanistan. I just turned 50, you know, last year. So, wow, you know, I mean, you get your mind around that. That's amazing. So, anyway, it'll be a fun mission. The way this is working out, I'm probably going to fly on July the 5th. So I'll get on an airplane on the day after the 4th of July. I'll celebrate that holiday here. Get on an airplane, and then I'll go through wherever. Y'all probably know where I'm going to fly to. And then eventually I'll get to Kabul, and I take over on July the 15th. So the guy that's there now, Stacy Harada, he's an SES out of the Corps of Engineers headquarters. He'll go back home, you know, and I'll be there. And then I'll come back sometime in mid-January. I mean, it's a 6-month deal. So, you know, and as you talk to your family about this, and y'all know this, families, and some families are sitting here, Terry Ann, is, you know, that's 3 birthdays I'll miss. I got 2 kids and I got a wife, you know, those birthdays. My mother turned 70 in July. You know, you think about all those things you miss. And so when we talk about impacts on families, you know, it's sort of coming up close and personal to me now as I talk to my wife and kids about it. And they're good with it, but I think about it a lot, you know. So that's going to, they say it's going to be a life-changing experience for me and the people that have done this job before. I've talked to as many as I know, and I know most of them. They all say it's a life-changing experience for the good because of what good we're doing over there and the impact, you know, of a fairly poor country and that's struggling with a lot of things right now. And you don't see that on the news. You see none of that on the news. You see almost nightly the bad things that are happening over there. You know, the bad guys are getting all the attention. That's why they do it. But they get to see all the good stuff that's happening over there. And so they say it's a life-changing experience for the good. And so I'm looking forward to that. But I think about, you know, now they have Skype. You know, I can talk to the kids. And, you know, I actually called Stacy over there, Stacy Ryder, the guy I'm replacing. And when I called him from a hotel room in Dallas. And it was like, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night. And it's like 9.5 hours difference. So it was like 7 o'clock in the morning or something. He was already at work. I mean, what else is he going to do? He's at work. And it sounded like he was next door. I mean, in the room next door. It was, the communications were that good. And so we'll have communications, but those are things you think about, you know, as you do these things. So that's Afghanistan. Now, what's going to happen here? Well, y'all probably saw an announcement earlier this week where Bill Grogan, who's the deputy GSL, he will become the acting director. That's what deputies do. That's one of the functions of a deputy. So Bill will become the acting director of GSL, just like I was the acting director of GSL for 2 or 3 years before I got to be the permanent director. So the deal was who's going to replace Bill, right? Well, here's 2 of the people right here. And is Jackie Pittman? There she is. Okay. Y'all probably know Gary Anderton. If you don't, here's Gary. Here's Hank McDevitt, 2 of our branch chiefs. They will be acting in Jackie Petway. Jackie, if you'll stand up, because most people probably don't know you. Jackie is a branch chief in CHL, and she'll be between these 3 folks right here. They'll be acting deputy director of GSL for, we got like probably 7 or 8 months when you add it all up, because I'll have some on the front end and some on the back end. I won't be here. There'll be 2 to 3 month chunks in there. We'll sort out exactly when, you know, in the next few weeks. So I want to thank y'all for doing that, for helping us, because Bill's going to have his hands full, believe me, as a director, the acting director of GSL. And you guys will be in great hands because these folks know what they're doing. I mean, they're extremely good. And then we'll figure out what we're going to do. I mean, Gary's going to figure out in his branch, and we'll, he's got great leaders, and Hank's got great leaders, and I'm not sure what Jackie's going to do at CHL, but I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Change your phone number.
Change your phone number. That's the first thing to do. Jackie, you can come up here, with the rest of us if you like. You're going to be one of us. Come on over here. And no, but Bill Martin, by the way, was very supportive of you coming to work with us. So I really appreciate him lending to us for a while. So that's kind of what's going to happen. I have no worries about you guys. I mean, you guys are blowing and going. I mean, things are going really good right now. It's going to go without a bump. So, and I'll try to keep in communication with you guys as much as I can. I think I'll be really busy over there, but I'll email and maybe Skype, I don't know, let you know what's going on. And then I'll come back and I'll report on what I did in my long summer vacation when I get back. And by the way, I am coming back. I mean, the deal is, this is sort of a fill-in-the-blank assignment, I mean, you go back to your old job, and that's exactly, I have no intention of doing something else. I'm coming back because I love my job here, that's just what I do. So, but I'm doing this to serve, just like you guys did, like y'all have done. So, I mean, I look forward to it. It's going to be fun. But it's something different. Lab directors don't normally do this. I mean, the only other lab director that has done this that I'm aware of is Ed Terrio. Ed Terrio, if y'all remember him, he used to be the director of Environmental Lab. And he did this, probably one of the first guys to do this, like 2003, 4 sometime. And when he left, he actually never really came back, honestly. I mean, he came back for a little bit, and then he went to MVD, the division here in Vicksburg, and then he went to headquarters USACE, and he ended his career in headquarters USACE. Well, that's not the path I'm coming back here. This is what I want to do. I'm going up there to help out, basically. So anyway, that's what's going to happen in GSL. Okay, let me move on to other stuff, and y'all can ask some more questions about my deployment, and I can ask y'all about your experience over there. I've got a lot to learn. But let me talk about something totally different, okay. Mentoring. When we do our HBO classes and go to the branch meetings and things like that, I always hear about, we've hired so many people in GSL in the last several years that, and even people that have been here a while, that we need some mentoring. We just need better mentoring, and the young people knows this probably better than anybody. And so we've been thinking about how we're going to crack that nut. It's not that we're doing any mentoring. Branch chiefs are kind of on top of that, but some people, aren't getting the mentoring that they want and need. I'm hearing this. And so we figured out one more tool, and it's just a tool, but think of a cross between social media and Match.com, okay? It's something like that, and it's actually a software program that Shelley Tingle, who works with us in the staff, and Evelyn and others sort of came up with this thing. And we didn't invent this. I mean, somebody else came up with this, but we bought it, and we're going to use this thing, and we're calling it the EG Connection, the ERDIC GSL Connection. Isn't that right? Yeah. It's new to me, too. And so it's already sitting out there, by the way. You can actually get to this. I'm not sure. Did we put the website name up there?
It's on TeamLink.
Yeah, it's on TeamLink. You can get through it through TeamLink. And you can go ahead and sign up for this. Now, as a mentee, as somebody to be mentored, you can sign up fairly easily, I think. You put your little profile on there, and if you're in LinkedIn or whatever, it'll just upload it automatically if you want it to, or you just put your stuff in there. If you want to be a mentor, I encourage you to, by the way. I don't care what level you are. If you think you want to mentor somebody here, and I encourage you to do that, talk to your branch chief or supervisor, whoever that is, about it, and they'll you put your thing in there, and it'll go up to Evelyn and Shelley, and then they'll talk to your supervisor to make sure y'all at least chatted, so at least you know that you're a mentor, and then you'll pop up there. And what this program does is it says if you want to be mentored and you're a mentor, there's like a little profile thing that it does, and it sort of matches that. If there's a pretty good hit, it'll give you 2 or 3 things that says, this is a good match, and then you just hit, bang, I want this one. And so it's just a tool. It's not meant to substitute for how we do it, and we're probably doing it in 95% of the cases right now. But it's just one more thing that I think the younger people, are really going to like. I mean, they love doing things with social media, and so maybe they'll feel more comfortable with that. Particularly people who have been here a while, they kind of know people, But if you only just started here, which about half of our workforce or more started in the last 7, 8 years, so that's most of us now, might be more comfortable with doing something like this. So keep your eyes out for this. It's already on Team Link, so that's what it is. And Evelyn told me that they're going to have some little workshops or something on this in the next month or two to get you more familiar with it. But I think it's going to be pretty obvious to you. Get on it, look at it, sign up to be a mentor or a mentee or both, you know. Maybe you want a mentor and be a mentee, whatever. But it's just a tool. Hopefully it'll work for you and get us a little bit closer to 100% on those that want to be mentored. Okay, now let's talk about money, program. We're projected to hit this year almost $500 million in this lab. One lab out of all of ERDIC is going to be about close to a third of the total program, because remember the total program is about $1.6 billion in ERDIC. We're going to get $486 million we're projected to hit. Wow, that is a big number. As a matter of fact, it kind of shows it there. That 486, that's FY12. That's that big tall stick there in the middle. But then we're projecting that numbers are going to go down. Now, we don't know that they'll go down. I mean, how many times have we been saying every year, well, it's going to go down next year. Well, it's going to go down next year. Well, and it does this, you know. It's going up every year. So next year, though, we're looking at the POM. That's the budget that the Pentagon has for RDT&E money and that sort of thing, and it's actually starting to go down. So we expect that next year it actually will start going down. So is that something to be worried about? I'm not worried yet. Not yet. Because we need in this lab about 100 to 120 million, seriously, to be fully funded, more than just salaries, travel, buy stuff, do stuff, to be a healthy program. So how are we executing 500 million if all we need is 150 million? Well, guess what we're doing? A lot of contracting. We're contracting like crazy, man. We're buying stuff. I mean, we're burning out contracts down here. But because what we're doing now is a little paradigm I've thought of is discover, develop, deliver. You know, discover is we come up with new ideas to do things. It's kind of our basic research program, applied research program, discovery stuff. Develop is we develop solutions, so we provide solutions to whoever's paying us to do it. But the deliver part's what's really picked up in the last few years. And that's where we're actually delivering a protection system for prisons in Afghanistan, for instance, and that's a $100 million program, and we're delivering that total solution, all of it, not just the research part, but they're getting now protection systems and tunneling detection systems around their tunnels, and that's expensive. And so the part that we really like to do might be the $4 or $5 million on the front end, and we're going to do the rest of it for them just to deliver that, but that's big buck stuff. And so that's really been the huge increase in ERDIC's program. And so as that money becomes less available and as we start pulling out of Iraq and Afghanistan, the money's going to start going down. But it needs to go way down before we start getting really hurt. So really the money is not going to be as big of an issue, I think. Now, this is just me thinking, in the next few years. What's going to start squeezing us is the manpower, actually. And so what's happened is that the Pentagon finally discovered that there was this thing called ERDIC out there, I guess. I don't know. We've actually been monitoring manpower for years and years, but we never really paid attention to it that much in ERDIC because as long as we had money, we could justify all the positions we needed, and people never really watched our manpower and tried to control our manpower. But last year, they must have woke up, and they said, whoa, ERDIC, you, and every other command, by the way. It's not just ERDIC, but every command out there, you've got a limit on the number of people, they call it FTE, full-time employees, so it's like people, that you can have, and that's it. And guess what? We've been hiring like crazy the last few years because we've had all this money, and we haven't been hiring up to the program. You know, we leave a lot of slack in there. We're still contracting a lot, but we've been hiring like crazy, and all of a sudden they come in after we've hired a lot of folks and then say, well, you know what, your line was actually right here. You've overhired a little bit, so you're about 117% in GSL above the number you were supposed to have. Oh, really? So, okay, now what, you know. So, but they give you a little glide path to get back to this number, okay? And so what that means is that we will be hiring a whole lot less in the next few years because we already have supposedly all the people we're supposed to have. And so, you know, we know how to do way above our heads because we contract. So, and then we got some new rules on contracting recently that's making it harder to contract, those of you who contract these days. And so it looks like we're getting squeezed on both sides of it, and we are. You know, it's a sign of, it's kind of the right problem to have, though. It's the problem to have of, my gosh, we got all this work to do, and how are we going to get it done? I like those problems versus, well, I don't have enough work to do. Let's scramble and find something to do. So, you know, it's challenges, I guess you would call it. So, so that's what we think the funding profile is going to be. I mean, look, in FY18, if our profiles go right, and who's got the crystal ball that knows this, but let's just say that's fairly conservative, and the number goes down to, say, $250 million in FY18. Well, that's more than we had, this isn't really adjusted for inflation, but roughly the same as we had in FY08. We all remember FY08? Not that long ago. We're kind of busy then too, weren't we? I mean, we've been busy for a while. So I think we're going to have enough work for a while. But we'll have to watch the recruiting. And so that's one of the stories about, the people stories I want to tell you, is that we're going to start slowing down on recruiting. As a matter of fact, I think we got 10 to 15 positions that we're asking for this year. Remember, every other year we've been 50, 60, 70, 50, 15 this year. And we haven't got all those approved yet, because we got to get down in the next couple of years to our limit that we're supposed to have. So we'll get there. It'll be by attrition. So if you don't see a lot of more hires that are happening, that's the deal. I mean, we just found out about this about a year ago. So we're trying to manage that to do it smartly. Okay. This is something called our Big Ideas process. I don't know if some of you have heard about this. Some of you are actually heavily involved. Oliver Taylor's here somewhere. He's the man on one of these. And maybe you guys have been working on these things, but these are ideas that we had in GSL, started thinking about it about a year ago, that said, look, we got all this money, we're coming up with all these neat things, but are there some markets and areas that we haven't explored enough yet? Like material science stuff, smart materials, and Gary Anderton sort of led this area, that we've invested millions of dollars from RD10E and other areas to come up with new nanomaterials and new exotic materials, stronger, you know, cheaper, faster, better, lighter, whatever. But it's for warfighting mostly. Can we use that same technology, nanomaterial something, to maybe build better dams or levees where we don't have money for material stuff, but maybe if we took those ideas, where we spent all these millions of dollars getting all these ideas, and maybe GSL could throw in a little money and then go pitch this to a customer on the Civil Works side, because they don't have the money even to pitch ideas to. And maybe they'll be interested if we could actually show them how this would work on their dam or their levee or whatever. And so that's what the big idea concept is. We're working these 4 things now. I think we got about 50K that we're just planning in those now to flesh these ideas out. And we got champions that are running these for the lab. But if you hear about these big ideas, now this is just what GSL is doing. Actually, CHL is doing something similar. I don't know what you're calling it, Jackie, but it's a similar kind of marketing business development idea. And now the ERDIC is sort of got on the bandwagon. And now ERDIC has got these 12 things, okay, marketing business development ideas that, strangely enough, some of them look kind of like these right here in GSL. I mean, we're all thinking kind of the same things. But the whole intent of all this is that we know military is going to go down. Who else has got money out there? Who's got money? What kind of problems they have? What can we do to solve them? That's it. Just try to go get some. Because the more diverse your portfolio is, the more eggs you got in your basket, the softer a landing it's going to be when you start going down. So, and you might not even go down. But I think we're all going to go down. So it's just diversifying what we do and who we do it for. That's what the big idea stuff is. So if you hear about that, that's really what it's all about. Hopefully, I know some of you are intimately involved in these, and I appreciate what you're doing. Okay, facilities is another topic I'd like to talk to you about, and y'all have heard me stand up here and talk about our long-range plan and that sort of thing, and we're still moving out on that now. With all our budget constraints that we got going on in the Pentagon, there's less money to do these things, but the chicken and the egg on these things, the reason we weren't getting monies in the past to build these facilities that we needed is that, you know, how do you get new facilities? Well, the chicken and the egg thing is that you got to get in the planning process for the Army. Okay, and they got this long planning process. It takes 5 to 10 years to plan things, you know, and that's what the Corps does. So we went to our Corps friends in Mobile District and Vicksburg District and others to help us with a master planning process for this facility, the ERDIC in Vicksburg, to let's get in their planning process, and we actually have got a few things in the planning cycle now. And some of that is right up here. This is the North Campus, by the way. This is where survivability is, where structural engineering is, where structural mechanics branch is. And if this thing worked, I could show you that thing up here that says Gate 6 at the top. Gate 6 is actually just a little bit past that, where it runs into whatever that road is that the back gate opens up to Basinski. And so the Mobilities Research Center there, that big box right there, which is on that's on the existing roadway alignment there. That's kind of where the soccer field is right now, or that big open grassy field. Just to the east of that is the tennis courts. And the plan is now, you see that dark gray line snaking along there. That's a new road that would get built and would circle around to, it's in the woods now, but in the woods is where we want to build our penetration facilities. We already have the blast load simulator down in that hole, you know, with a lot of, looks like a hobbit house, and it's covered with earth down there. Well, beside it in the woods is going to be a penetration facility and other flak shacks and other things that we're doing in our penetration and structural survivability branches and structural engineering branches. So that's sort of the long-range plan, and we're in the hopper to get money. So we're sort of in the budget to get money, but that's sort of pending upon is there actually going to be money available. But the first thing is you got to get in the plan. And so we're in the plan to get money a few years from now. So we might actually realize our dream. Remember we started this 2 or 3 years ago. We said, what do we, you know, I have a dream. What do we want? And we started thinking of all these things, and it took this long, really, to start getting in the budgeting cycle. And so the Corps of Engineers thinks this is important because this is some of the highest priority items for the Corps of Engineers, and it must have been pretty important to the Army because we were in their budgets as well. So we're still working this, but more to follow. Okay, Town Hall, Major Meeks, 25th October, Town Hall. So we have our Town Hall birthday party every October, as y'all know. We'll be, how old will we be this October? 12, yeah, 2012. That's the way I remember it. What year is this, 2012? We'll be 12. Okay, we'll be 12 years old in October. Maybe I'll talk to you. I don't know. We'll see if we can Skype it in or something. But Town Hall, so put it on your thing. If you can make it, it'll be a Thursday. And we'll have our big Town Hall celebration, kind of catch up on where we are, what we're doing. And we like to have fun that day. We don't have fun any other day besides Corps Day. That's the day we like to have some fun. So please mark that on your calendar. We'll have our Town Hall meeting. Okay, another communication thing that we do, and all this sort of falls in communication, Town Hall, and now, have you looked at Lingo lately? Have you looked at the Lingo? It's pretty cool. I mean, we started 5 or 6 years ago with pieces of paper, like a newsletter, with pieces of paper. Now Shelley and Evelyn and others have got a super high tech. Now it's kind of all on like this website thing, and it's really, really slick. So we're putting our stories in there, and it has feeds from other sources of information. So we try to make it very relevant to DSL, but we don't have to write all the stories necessarily. And so it kind of comes, it sort of follows the Corps of Engineers process, actually. If you looked at the Corps of Engineers website lately, they actually have a pretty good website. And so you got the Corps of Engineers got a great website, GSL has a great website, CHL has a pretty good website too, by the way. And ERDIC is going to have a pretty good website one of these days too. So we'll all kind of work on that. So, but anyway, I encourage you, if you haven't been to the website lately, or the Lingo lately, please go there. Okay, let me talk about getting better, okay? What we call in this lab HPO, Jackie, higher performing organization, but it's all about how do we get better as an organization. Change management is another term we use sometimes, but we're always trying to get better at what we do and how we do it. It's kind of a process thing, and the ideas, they tend to bubble up from you guys. I mean, most of you have all been in the HPO class. If you haven't, you probably will be. and it's philosophies about how you get better, and we try to implement those in this lab. So one of the things that we do too is we do leadership training, and so and we talk about strategy as leaders and that sort of thing. So just a few weeks ago, all the leadership in GSL met. You know, we've got this new meeting policy now that you can't actually meet. We can't actually have big meetings, but when we come together and we talk about things, we met over in the environmental laboratory, and we talked about the values we have in GSL. And, you know, we have values posted on the wall kind of thing, you know, our leadership values, and you probably inherently know the values that we have here, but we codified them. We actually, together as this new leadership team, and I call it new because we're different than we were when we started GSL. Almost everybody's different, except maybe me, in the leadership group. And we codified the values, and they came down to these 5 things. And Shelley, who's a word person, said, wait a minute, that's rivet. It's respect, integrity, vision, empowerment, teamwork. Rivet, R-I-V-E-T. So I wanted a visual device for that. So I said, Wendell, can you find us a rivet that I could use to sort of illustrate what a rivet is, you know? So you realize how old rivets are? I mean, we don't use rivets anymore, except for blue jeans. I mean, he had this little bitty thing that he found. So we found a carriage bolt. That's a carriage bolt. I know it's not a rivet, but it's something that represents strength. It's something that represents connectivity and pulling things together. And so these are the values that we all came together with in about 2 hours. It didn't take us long to think about what do we hold true here in this lab. What do we value as a laboratory? And that pretty much says it for us in a very short thing that even I can remember. Not carriage bolt, rivet. So we'll talk a lot more about these. We'll probably talk more about them at the town hall. We'll talk about them in branch meetings and division meetings. That what do we value as an organization? And I think these pretty much match up to what your own values are. But that's what we hold important in this laboratory, in our culture. And more to follow on that. But those are the kind of things that's what your leadership talks about. You know, we talk about our values, we talk about where we're headed, we talk about how we're going to get there, strategy. But this is sort of the latest example of the kind of things that we've done recently. And we've done it through something called flipping. And I'll talk about flipping here in just a minute. But have y'all heard about flipping yet? Flipping stuff? Have y'all done flipping? Yeah, y'all did flipping. Yeah, MIO did flipping. Flipping is the new Gallup. Have y'all heard about Gallup? Remember the Gallup stuff that we did? Strength finders and that sort of thing? Well, flipping is sort of the new version of that. And it's all about discovering more about your strengths and weaknesses and that sort of thing, and then how you can function better as a team and as a member of a bigger team. And so that's what our leadership team did. We started with the leadership in GSL, and it's probably going to end up propagating throughout the lab, kind of like our HBO stuff has. And so we're always just trying to get better as a lab in understanding our strengths and weaknesses and how we can get better as an organization. So that's Rivet. And I just talked about the flipping stuff. I don't know why you're laughing, but you must have had a lot of fun in the flipping training. And I think most of the MIO folks went to flipping training. And so it's just figuring out how you can get better. That book, by the way, is a real good book. The guy's name is Flippin', if you can believe that. I don't know. He's from Texas, and he's a super charismatic guy. He really knows what he's doing. As a matter of fact, I first saw him about 2 years ago with General Van in our senior leaders conference. They graded about a quarter of all the SCSs there. I didn't get in that first group. Beth Fleming did, Jeff Holland did, a few of our leaders here at ERDIT did. But General Van also was sort of evaluated. And General Van, by the way, graded as one of the best leaders they had ever graded before. And if y'all knew General Van, y'all would probably agree with that. I know I definitely agreed with that. So when General Van retired, by the way, guess who he went to work for? Flipping Group. So he's actually one of these trainer guys now, and he's a perfect example of a great leader. So we're bringing that. The environmental lab was doing some of this, and we heard some real good feedback from them. We're getting on board with it now in GSL. ITL's looking at them. I think CHL is sort of looking at doing this as well. The Corps is actually looking at this. So more to follow on the flipping training. That book is really good. I think we got some copies. If you go to the class, which you will go to the class if we haven't, you get the book with it, and it's encourage you to look at it if you haven't looked at it yet. Really good ideas in there, and it's really, if you remember the Gallup Strength Finder stuff, it really focused on your strengths. So if you got strengths, you need to focus on your strengths, because that's what's going to get you to the best you can be, is working on your strengths, not your weaknesses. Well, this sort of takes the other view. It says, hey, focus on your strengths, but if you got a few weaknesses or a few things that are limiting you, you need to be aware of them. So it's kind of like this ballast on a balloon, right? You pump more hot air into the balloon, you go higher, but this is kind of like throwing those weight bags off, those things that might be holding you back just a little bit. So that, I mean, it made sense to me. And I learned a few things that I need to get better at, and we all learned a few things that we need to get better at. So encourage you to do that if you get a chance. This is something that engineers and scientists, and maybe everybody, I don't know, needs to know about, but remember the statements of work that we're doing now for new proposals for work. You got to put these things in. It's kind of a P2 thing. It's really just about good project management and coming up with a good plan before you execute your work. But now we got this system that we require you to fill out and put your information in that, a plan, so that you can manage your project better. And the most important thing is you can get your money if you put this, if you put your information into this new planning software. But it's, I believe it's going to be ERDIC-wide, or is this just GSL, or
For now, it's
just GSL for now? We're leading the way a little bit on that. But pretty much everybody's doing some version of this, their statement of work deal. And so just more to follow on this. If you don't already know about it, there'll be more discussion on this later. But it's kind of how you do a statement of work plan for your major projects. And so that goes along with the CFMs and P2 stuff that we do. Okay. The sun never sets on GSL. Y'all remember that? I mean, we're in 50 countries around the world. You guys are traveling more than I am, and I travel a lot. But I'm fixing to go on a big adventure. And so I'll be gone a little while, and then I'll be back. I'll be back in January, February. So you won't see me around much, except through maybe a little computer screen or something. But I'll miss you guys, but it'll be over, you know. I was talking to Joe Fontanella, one of my partners up at AGC, earlier today, and he says, you know, the days go by really, really fast, but the months go really, really long. But I know I'll be back eventually. But I appreciate y'all coming. Thanks for your attention. And if we got a few more minutes, 15 minutes? Okay, good. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. Y'all got any questions or about my deployment or anything else? Any other rumors that you've heard? Oh, I mentioned I'm collecting rumors right now. So, ma'am?
Do you know how to learn how to shoot? Shoot a gun.
Well, you know, I don't think so. I don't think they'll give me a weapon. Do I have to shoot a gun? She said, do I have to learn how to shoot a gun? I don't know if they want to give me a gun. I think I'll have guys with guns around me. I think that's going to be the way it works. I won't drive either, by the way, and I'm used to driving, you know. I don't think they're going to let me drive. I don't think I want to drive, actually, when I'm over there. So, yeah, but there'll be guys with guns there, just not me. That's good. But I haven't been in my training yet, so I don't know. I think I'll get a helmet, right? I'll get a helmet. I'll get a flak jacket, a gas mask, a uniform. I mean,
Really
some of y'all know.
comfortable boots?
Really comfortable boots?
No.
So I need to bring my own boots?
You can't do that.
I got to talk to the guys who really know what's going on to know what I really need
It's
to
all
take.
about the socks.
It's all about the socks. Buy good socks. Buy really, really good socks. I think I'll buy some new socks before I go. They say to ship a care package, you know, you got a little box that you can ship ahead of time, maybe several boxes. You need to ship your sunscreen, they said ship throat lozenges, because in the wintertime it gets pretty cold and they burn anything to stay warm. And I mean anything. So some of the stuff they're burning, and if you get that in your throat, it can really give you a bad headache and a bad throat. So Oh, I'm sure it tastes good too. So they said bring a lot of throat lozenges because they run out real quick during that time of the year. So I'll ship a few throat lozenges over there. So I mean, it's going to be a different world for me. I mean, it's going to be a totally different culture. And as a few of y'all know, I will learn a lot. And I've already learned a lot from you. I've talked to Terry Stanton some. I think I'll talk to him some more. Some of you have been deployed, and I learned from you. I'm reading as much. I just got this book on Afghanistan the other day, the whole history of Afghanistan. I'm reading that. So, but all of them tell me, hey, it doesn't matter what we tell you now because when you get over there, it's going to be different. Okay, all right. I do know some of the programs, though, I'm working on. One of them's called the Afghan National Security Program, ANSP. The National Security Program for Afghanistan is basically they're trying to build an army and they're trying to build a police force. And these are national army and a national police force. And so everything it takes to build an army, all the training facilities, all the facilities it takes to support that, the Corps is building. And so all the Army stuff and the police stations and the police training stuff and all that. So that's one major program. Then they got this thing called a Commander's Emergency Response Program, CERP. That's the 3 or 4 star general. I got to figure out if it's a 3 or 4 star over there. But he's got discretionary monies of about millions, okay, it's millions, that he can use to build roads, bridges, schools, and other things that he thinks that will be good for the populace. I mean, hey, if I build you a school, will you stop shooting at me? You know, that sort of stuff. And so if that's happening, we'll be in charge of building that. And then the Corps of Engineers has its missions over there, you know, with military programs and military construction for our own U.S. troops over there. Then you have USAID that's spending a lot of money on nation-building stuff, like they're building dams and levees and things to make that country build up its capacity, is what they call it, capacity building. And so we'll be in charge of that. Now, my particular role will be I'll be talking to ambassadors, I'll be talking to ministers of water, ministers of defense, you know, kind of like the Afghanistan leadership. And I'll be meeting with our own embassy, the U.S. embassy over there. So I'll be kind of meeting with people and talking to them a lot. I can do that. Okay, I can handle that part. And the generals and that sort of thing. And go out and look at the neat stuff that the Corps is doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we're doing over there because I've been really wanting to see that for a long time. So hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to you. But I'm running out of days, and that's the reason we kind of picked today, and then I'm going to have another one of these in just a couple of weeks because I'm running out of days. You know, I mean, July 5th will be here before we know it, and I want to take some time off in June to be with the family, and so I kind of won't be around as much in June. So May's almost over, so I'll see you around some, and then July 5th I won't see you much, and I'll be back in January, February time frame. So anyway, any other questions? Any other things? Vicki, what are you smiling about? You're thinking something, I know. She's just shaking her head like, no, I don't know about this. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all very much, and look forward to seeing you. And if I don't see you, we'll see you in February. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it.